Carl Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, founded analytical psychology. His influential theories explored the collective unconscious, archetypes, and individuation. Jung delved into the deep realms of the human psyche, emphasizing the integration of the unconscious for personal growth. His work remains pivotal in psychology and continues to inspire discussions on the complexities of the mind. We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams; who looks inside, awakes. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. The healthy man does not torture others; generally it is the tortured who turn into torturers. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. A man who has not passed through the inferno of his passions has never overcome them. We are born at a given moment, in a given place, and, like vintage years of wine, we have the qualities of the year and of the season of which we are born. Astrology does not lay claim to anything more. The word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect but by the play instinct acting from inner necessity. The creative mind plays with the objects it loves. Knowledge rests not upon truth alone, but upon error also. Often the hands will solve a mystery that the intellect has struggled with in vain. Through pride we are ever deceiving ourselves. But deep down below the surface of the average conscience a still, small voice says to us, something is out of tune. We should not pretend to understand the world only by the intellect. The judgment of the intellect is only part of the truth. If there is anything that we wish to change in the child, we should first examine it and see whether it is not something that could better be changed in ourselves. If one does not understand a person, one tends to regard him as a fool. A human being would certainly not grow to be 70 or 80 years old if this longevity had no meaning for the species. The afternoon of human life must also have a significance of its own and cannot be merely a pitiful appendage to life's morning. There is no birth of consciousness without pain. Dreams are the guiding words of the soul. Why should I henceforth not love my dreams and not make their riddling images into objects of my daily consideration? For a young person, it is almost a sin, or at least a danger, to be too preoccupied with himself, but for the aging person, it is a duty and a necessity to devote serious attention to himself. Man is not a machine that can be remodeled for quite other purposes as occasion demands, in the hope that it will go on functioning as regularly as before but in a quite different way. He carries his whole history with him; in his very structure is written the history of mankind. Who has fully realized that history is not contained in thick books but lives in our very blood? The man who promises everything is sure to fulfill nothing, and everyone who promises too much is in danger of using evil means in order to carry out his promises, and is already on the road to perdition. Great talents are the most lovely and often the most dangerous fruits on the tree of humanity. They hang upon the most slender twigs that are easily snapped off. Resistance to the organized mass can be effected only by the man who is as well organized in his individuality as the mass itself. A scream is always just that, a noise and not music. The word belief is a difficult thing for me. I don't believe. I must have a reason for a certain hypothesis. Either I know a thing, and then I know it, I don't need to believe it. Mistakes are, after all, the foundations of truth, and if a man does not know what a thing is, it is at least an increase in knowledge if he knows what it is not. Man's task is to become conscious of the contents that press upward from the unconscious. Masses are always breeding grounds of psychic epidemics. Without this playing with fantasy, no creative work has ever yet come to birth. The debt we owe to the play of the imagination is incalculable. It is a fact that cannot be denied. The wickedness of others becomes our own wickedness because it kindles something evil in our own hearts. The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved but only outgrown. Follow that will and that way which experience confirms to be your own. The collective unconscious consists of the sum of the instincts and their correlates, the archetypes. Just as everybody possesses instincts, so he also possesses a stock of archetypal images. Neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering.